I just got off a live call in Loose Tooth Studio and something emerged that I wanted to share. It helps me a heck of a lot and might be useful for other folks. So, Loose Tooth Studio is my online membership community for visual thinkers. And currently, we have a beautiful cohort of human beings that are going through the Agerbeck method, which is my big old comprehensive visual thinking course. So, in Loose Tooth Studio, got lots of good things going on, but for now, we're looking at in Loose Tooth Studio, there is a specific space for folks who are going through the Agerbeck method course. And currently in 2022, we've got a cohort of folks who are meeting every 4 weeks to talk about one module in the course. So, great chance to connect, share notes, ask questions, all that great stuff as we learn together and make visual thinking our lifelong skill. And I'm really amped up and excited by, I am an introvert. I'm more than happy to be in my physical studio alone, but it is such a joy to talk live with folks. And today we talked about Module 1, Canvas. And Canvas is, in the Agerbeck method, Canvas is very much about you as the canvas, starting out with what are your success factors, setting yourself up for success in the course, and the more tangible physical canvas of what are you drawing on and how the choices of what you're drawing on is going to help shape your thinking. So, Module 1, Canvas, we've got 3 idea shapers we're looking at specifically. So, the idea shapers are the 24 visual thinking concepts that I teach, first in the Idea Shaper book and again in the Agerbeck method course that we nicknamed AGME. So, if I say AGME, that means the Agerbeck method. And very quickly, the 3 idea shapers in the 3 idea shapers in Module 1 of Canvas. The first one is the objective. So, what is your objective and what you're trying to do? We'll talk more about that in a moment. Also, the landscape, which is putting all your ideas on one surface so you can see how they fit together. And the 3rd idea shaper in this first module is the stack. So, putting one idea per piece of paper, index card, sticky note, digital card, in whatever program you like, putting one idea per piece of something so that you can sort and shuffle your ideas. But today we really focused a whole heck of a lot on the objective. And what I love about the objective is it can kind of go as broad as what are you using visual thinking for in your life, all the different ways you can use visual thinking in your life, which we'll talk about more. It can go kind of mid-range, which is what is my objective in this project and how am I using different visual tools in this project that help me meet my objective, to get me where I want to go. Just recently, in a completely different context of my life, I was talking about how writing the Idea Shaper book, I bounced between stacks and landscapes. So I knew at what points in my process did I want to put one idea per card down so I could shuffle and sort things out, and then when did I need to hop on over to the landscape and figure out how those pieces fit together. So that's kind of like the mid-range, like project size objective. And then of course you've got the what is my objective of making this one specific drawing. So today I hit record because I wanted to share this one specific visual that came up in my mind during the call we just had that helped me a lot thinking about what the heck visual thinking is and who is it for and how do we use it. So happily we had a lot of our call today talking about what is your kind of big picture objectives for learning visual thinking. And what I was hearing in people's stories that I wanted to share was how an hourglass mimics a lot of our experience of being visual thinkers, rediscovering visual thinking, and the different ways we want to use visual thinking in our lives. So let's see if I hop on over here. So I'm using a portrait, not a landscape for this particular moment, for this particular drawing. But what I was hearing in these stories was something that looked like a big old hourglass. So let's see. Yeah, that looks pretty hourglassy, right? Oh, that's pretty good. That shape actually makes sense. pretty symmetrical. Go Brandy. So the idea here was in lots of stories over the course of this call, people would talk about, um, let's say, a lot of this was, let's just say past and current. Oh, let's see, getting just out of frame. Zoop. There we go, a little better. Let's say that the top is past and the bottom's current. We could easily flip that, but all you need to know is there's wide parts and narrow parts and a wide part again. That's the idea. What was happening in these stories that I really appreciated was a whole lot of folks saying, I'm seeing if I have a different pen here, and if I don't, that is okay. What do we got? Let's grab something. Here we go. So what was happening a lot in people's introduction of what this, what brought them to my stuff and where they were at learning and what they wanted to do next was this big, broad idea of what happened was for a whole lot of these folks in their background, especially in their childhoods, they were folks who were hands-on. And, maybe they very specifically loved drawing. Might be that they liked, working whole body. Definitely these two are very much hand in hand in like the physicality of learning. And a lot of times it wasn't so specific. It was just sort of, this is how I work, right? This is who I am. This is, how I'm wired or how I'm built is being very visual, physical, and a little less specifically, but there were definitely things about being spatial. So let's do this. So, all these qualities in their stories that they were sharing. And then here in the middle, this narrow part was this sense of, make it a little dash here, was this narrow part, which usually had something to do specifically with the role of graphic facilitation or graphic recording. So some kind of aha moment, some bridge moment of being in a room when somebody was doing graphic recording, somebody saying, hey, you got to see this weird work that people do. Sometimes it was very specifically somebody saying, here's Brandy's Green Book, the first book about graphic facilitation. But there was this point that was quite narrow in that kind of this discovery point of graphic facilitation or graphic recording, which was, oh, yes, this connects to something in my past. This makes sense to me. And then the bottom half here, which is so glorious, is that now we've got all these different ways of wanting to use visual thinking. Like once there was sort of maybe this point about graphic facilitation, there were all these stories of wanting to use these skills for things like definitely a whole lot of great stories about using it to tackle complexity. What do you say? Just like group process. So I work with people and I want to help show them show them reflect back what they're doing and support the process. What I loved today was we had a huge variety of folks. A lot of this is about systems, finding clarity. I'm not going to get everybody because there's so many stories, but what they kind of went through this narrow part of the hourglass, and then it expands back into, oh, geez, a whole lot of these, let's just say in big letters, personal and professional, ways that they use visual thinking. And I especially loved that a whole lot of people, this was, for them, it was really this great investment in themselves to develop these things for themselves personally. Maybe not know exactly how it's going to work in a professional role. And the fact that in professional roles, there was this massive variety all these different directions that people could do this work outside of that specific job title. So I know the reason I like this shape was because I really struggle as a human in the world trying to put my work out in the world to say, yes, I've had the role of a graphic facilitator for, since 1996, but really what I'm teaching is helping you get back to all of this stuff so you can go and do all of this stuff. I think so many people, so many people when I say what I do, they go, oh, well, I don't want to do that for a living. It is that very narrow part of the hourglass of, oh, well, I don't want to do that, so I don't need to learn this. And whether they learn from me or somebody else, that's, a whole nother part, a whole nother thing. But it's that narrow thinking of, oh, if I want to learn visual thinking, the only application is to visually think for other people for a living. Very happily in these stories, there were so many different roles, so many different aspects of life. These beautiful humans were using visual thinking. So I absolutely do not mind that, well, look, if somebody is so narrow in their thinking that it's only this, then it's not for them. That's fine. It didn't resonate here. It didn't resonate here. If it's not their thing, it's not their thing. That's okay. The issue is when somebody may be this and may be this, but if they only see this part of the picture, right, they're not accessing this amazing tool they can use both to get back to who they are as a human, but also to apply in their present day and their current life and their future aspirations in all these ways. So super thankful to the beautiful humans who are with me today on the call and hearing these stories and to be able to think about this shape where, look, I am more than happy to have been this, to have that weird job title for so many years. I don't mind continuing to do this work, but for me, my work is has absolutely been this, and I'm very thankful for my knowledge, and I'm very thankful for the things I've built specific to this. But I gotta say, like, all of this part of the hourglass is just so darn lovely. And that's why I teach, that's why I wrote the Idea Shaper book. That's why I built the Agerbeck Method course, so that, again, we can kind of get back to all these things we have always been, all these ways we have always worked, or, things that are ways of working inside of us that may have been pushed aside or not accepted. I absolutely love the woman who is a writer, a professional writer, and she's like, look, I know this is how I work, and I have done very, very well in a profession that is not necessarily these things. So, so recognizing that these are not exclusive. You do not have to be a verbal person or a visual person. This is something I really like around Dan Rome's book where he talks about vivid. I'm forgetting what the acronym stands for at the moment, but it's really blending visual and verbal together. This is not, I used to use words and now I use images. I talk about that a lot in the Agerbeck method. It really is about these different skills. But recognizing a whole lot of folks, especially growing up in most of our educational systems, and especially a lot of the way our workplaces work, are more verbal, are more auditory, are more text-based. So for some folks, there is that sense of discovery through that little narrow channel, but then this idea that I can use all of these ways that I work as a human in all of these wonderful parts of my life now. So maybe there was something useful in there. I hope so. If you have any questions, please reach out and ask. And by all means, if you want to join me in Loose Tooth Studio, I would welcome you. If you want to join me in the Agerbeck Method, I welcome you. But hopefully this helped. I think for those who are already in this space, they enjoy these beautiful spaces. You might have that specific story. My guess is if you have this view, you're probably not watching this video in the first place. But if you happen to be watching this and thinking, I know Brandy does this stuff, but why the heck would I want to learn it unless I want to be Brandy when I grow up? You don't need to. Brandy's busy being Brandy when she grew up. So, and again, the idea that you can both connect to all these ways that you have worked, that you're sort of naturally work, and you can also have all these gorgeous applications, even if this might be the discovery point for you, that there is a whole lot of gorgeous space here, a whole bunch of gorgeous space here. So I absolutely welcome you to join me if you have any questions. about anything and how you might learn with me, I want you to learn. I want you to learn visual thinking. I want you to grasp these tools and do fantastic things with them. And by all means, if you want to learn with me, I welcome your questions. And in the meantime, thanks for letting me get excited about this shape that emerged on this call today. And wherever you are, I hope you are well, and I hope you are drawing, or just hope you're well. Let's just say that. Be well, and see you next time.